I'm Connor Northrup. I'm joined by UFC middleweight Ian Heinisch, who takes on Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 258 on February 13th. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing excellent, man. Everything's feeling good. Camp's going great. I'm excited for the opportunity.
Yeah. I know the last time we talked, you had mentioned about, I know you had wanted to go to train in Thailand and everything like that. Obviously, COVID kind of kept that from happening. I take it that you're not in Thailand right now.
Yeah, it was the dream to go out there and train. The beginning of last year, that was the whole plan. And since July 1st, we literally rented out our house and we kind of been homeless, living in Airbnb since then. But it's been great, man. We found some amazing coaches. Got to travel around, train in Vegas at Extreme Couture with Coach Eric, and but now for this camp, I'm staying more central to where I'm from, around my family and stuff in Colorado, and with Coach Jake at Genesis and Coach Peter with Team Elevation. And we got a really good thing going right now. Great training partners, great coaching. So I'm happy.
For sure. Is Thailand like is that still on the table like when it's able like safe to go, or are you just kind of happy with where you're at?
I'm happy with where I'm at, but I'm just being led by God, and I feel like the calling was to go to Thailand, and I love it out there. And right now you could get in, but it's a 2-week quarantine.
Mm.
At a hotel that they make you, and so it's like you don't really have time to just lose 2 weeks every time you go home. So that's kind of annoying. So we're just kind of waiting around to see when that lifts, and but in the meantime, we're getting great training and making some really good connections and relationships with some great coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be like pretty incredible too, because like I know anyone who's familiar with your story, obviously, with the way just everything works and everything like that, like it must just be pretty crazy for you too to just here you were, you had this plan, a pandemic happens, and then it ends up working out in the end.
Yeah, it's crazy. You make all these plans, especially. I mean, people are really familiar with this, making all these plans last year, and I've learned a huge thing I learned from 2020 was don't get married to any plan or outcome because it could change, and just live day by day because that's only thing we really do have at the moment. And yeah, it's just plans change, and you just got to roll with the punches, and that's the story of my life.
Yeah. When did you actually like start like finding like a more of a like a I guess a more consistent like training basis? 'Cause I know when I talked to you, I think the last time it was before the Mearshart fight, and you were kind of at that point. I think you said you just had a very like tight knit group, and you were kind of doing like that was when people were still doing the garage workouts and outside and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The people that I found actually in that quarantine are who I'm with right now, with Coach Jake and Coach Peter, and a lot of the same teammates stayed around that were in that group. And yeah, we just got a good thing going, man. These guys are winning fights, and I'm winning fights. And Drew Dober came in today and sparred with me, and we got some great rounds. And he did a great job, like mimicking Gastelum, and kind of has a similar style. Obviously, he's
Mhm.
littler, but he's actually pretty big right now, but he's making his way down there. But it was some good rounds, and it was really a good look for me.
Yeah, awesome. And then as far as just one more thing about Thailand, like, do you kind of have like a timetable of when you would like to get there, like ideally?
I quit making timelines, man, because
Yeah.
you start getting your hopes up, and then you get let down. You get your hopes up, you let down. So, honestly, I'm just like I'm in touch with George Hickman, the coach out there, and he's just kind of let me know how things are going. And obviously, the guys have been very successful out there, and they're doing a great job. And obviously, they don't have as many training partners as they usually would have, with especially in high season right now. It's high season out there because people don't want to do this 2-week quarantine, and it costs some change too, right? It's not your typical cheap hotel that you can get in Thailand. It's actually more expensive. So, yeah, I'm just keeping tabs, keeping my eyes open, and like I said, just being led by God wherever He wants me to go. He'll open the door.
Yeah. And I know you can attest this too. You've already mentioned it, but as far as like 2020 just being absolutely crazy, you definitely had. I feel like can attest to that. I know you with one of your quartermen had. I think it was the false negative test before 250, and then obviously you before Brendan Allen fight and everything like that. I mean, how are you kind of feeling about the new year after a year like 2020?
Well, I mean, yeah, COVID ruined a few fights for me as far as just not being able to fight Brendan Allen, and Actually, I had a fight scheduled in May last year. It was supposed to be in California in the beginning,
Hmm.
but that's when the first COVID, and that's where the UFC actually shut down for a little while. So that got
Yeah.
rescheduled. And so, yeah, I mean, the kind of the good thing is I'm excited to have my dad in my corner, and I'll have my coach Jake and coach Peter, and we all got it. We all got COVID when that happened for my last fight. So basically, we should be good for at least 3 months. So I'm feeling very confident. I'm not like paranoid about failing for a COVID test right now, and obviously, just keeping a tight group of people. But at the end of the day, man, how do you avoid the flu? It's in the air, it's around. So the best thing you can do is strengthen your immune system, not overtrain and just stay on your vitamins and just do everything you can to be as healthy as you can to let your body fight that off. So. That's what we're doing, and I feel like we've all got the natural antibodies now, so we should be good.
Yeah, you kind of just went right into like what I want to talk about too, because I've talked about this with so many fighters too, because I feel like there's this thing of where you see a lot of fans being like, "Well, the fighters should just be more careful," but it's like you can only be so careful, like to get the kind of training that you guys need.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of funny. It hit me when Nate Marquardt was supposed to corner me for my last fight, and he was actually still training out in Vegas. He came out there to train with me, and then I was kind of bouncing back and forth from Colorado to Vegas, just getting different looks and utilizing all my coaches. And it was like 2 weeks out from the fight, and I called Nate, and I was like, "Yeah, man, try to be a little careful this week. Before my fight." And then it like hit me as like, how do you be careful? Because
Yeah.
we're going to the gym, we're training. Obviously, don't come to the gym if you feel sick or you're feeling a little bit
Hmm.
off. And I think basically the best thing you can do is not overtrain, because if you overtrain, you lower your immune system and you're real susceptible to catching stuff like that. So yeah, it's really hard thing to say be safe, right? How do you be
Yeah.
safe? Like we're training, we're fighting. Like how safe can you be?
Yeah. Have you ever had a situation like obviously not like COVID, but like the whole like Brandon Allen thing where it was I think like wasn't that like the day of the fight where that ended up falling through? Like, have you ever had a fight kind of end like after you already made weight and did all that work?
Yeah, actually, I have. I get like spiritual attacks on fight week, bro. It's crazy. And like I said, the Meerschaert fight, my cornerman, the first time a cornerman tested positive with the COVID, and he honestly was like training with like Magni and like a few other guys in the card. They were all exposed, and I was like, great. I was like, tomorrow morning, front page of like the news. Like UFC 250 is canceled because of Ian Heinisch's cornerman. So I had a fight in London actually a year or two in March, and I was fighting Tom Breeze. And we made weight. We did the stare off. It was about 12 o'clock. I was getting ready to go on the bus to the venue, and I got a call, and he actually pulled out of the fight the day of. So I felt that before, where you're getting ready to fight someone, and it's a really weird feeling because you got a lot of emotion and just like energy built up. And so, obviously, I had to hit a few hard training sessions, really kind of get release that energy a little bit and kind of refocus mentally and get back after it. I never woke up feeling as sick as I did, but I was still down to fight. I was like, we already stared off and without a mask, face to face. So, if he was down to sign a paper, like we could have still fought. But I know people fought with the flu before. COVID, I guess, is a little different. So, yeah, I mean, it's happened before, but it's never happened like that.
Yeah. Aaron, we've already talked about the Brendan fight a little bit, and I know you guys. It seemed like you guys were doing a pretty good job of building that fight too,
Yeah.
as far as you and Brendan. But talking about how things kind of work out. I mean, this fight with Kelvin. I mean, in the end, like this must be like obviously, I'm sure you wish you could have fought those other fights, but it must have worked out kind of all in the end because now you're fighting a ranked guy. Where I feel like there's a little more to gain if you beat a guy like Kelvin than you beat a guy like Brendan. Nothing against Brendan, but just as far as like the rankings go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he missed his opportunity too. He
Mhm.
obviously had things going on in his life that were more important than fighting a ranked, fighter in his division. So I felt like I didn't know why he wouldn't want to take that fight, because if he loses to me, all right, you lost to a ranked fighter, you're back in the mix. But now you're losing to someone who's not even ranked. You're kind of going to the back of the line. And I was ready to fight him 2 weeks from there. He's been running his mouth like crazy, and then just to see Sean Strickland, a guy who I've trained with before, just smoke him like that and get the 50 G's, I was really happy for Sean. It was a great performance, but at the same time, it was kind of felt like, man, that was my 50 G's. But it all works out. It all works out how it's supposed to. And now I get a huge opportunity, get myself back in the top 10, get back on track after that title, and really get to show the world what I'm about against a really notable and skilled fighter.
Yeah. What was kind of your reaction when the name, Kelvin Gastelum kind of came up?
Oh, I was in Mexico, and yeah, my manager called me, Jason House, and he said, "Hey, what about Gastelum?" And I was like, "Yep, I'll take that." I like his style, man. He's an exciting fighter, and mad respect for the dude. But when we get in that cage, I'm coming after him, and his downfall has always been big, strong wrestlers. So it's stylistically, it's a great matchup for me, and I'm excited to test myself. That's it.
Yeah. Were you surprised a name like Gaslam? Were you surprised that that was kind of an option?
No, not really, because I've been seeing guys, like Kevin Holling, and that was supposed to fight Jack Hermanson, and like I
Yep.
felt like if the fight would have fell out a week before that, I probably would have got that. And opportunities knocking right now, and you got to be ready to open the door. And a lot of guys are jumping up in the division. Vittori, all these guys. So I knew nothing is impossible at the moment, and so when they said that name, I just I jumped right on that, and I love that fight. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Going off that, yeah, it must be like a pretty exciting time to be in this division too, because it does feel like there's like a lot of like moving parts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, and I want to prove to myself, like, I feel like I've been saying it since Contender Series, like, I'm the king of contenders. And I feel like I'm one of the top young bloods in there. And I would love to fight Kevin Holland. I would love to fight Vittori. Anyone in the division's fair game. Darren Till. It's a stacked division. A lot of things are moving. This is the Hurricane 3.0. Last year I was the 2.0. That was even the better version. People only got to see a minute and 15 seconds of the 2.0. The 3.0 is even better, and I'm excited to show this world.
Yeah. You talk about Kevin Holland too. I mean, what did you just make of that? I mean, he had quite the story in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, he was favored that year. He got a lot of blessings. He was healthy. He took advantage of these COVID times. He's got a wild fighting style, and I like it, man. It's crazy to think like Brendan Allen subbed him almost a year ago,
Hmm.
and now he's just crushing it. So I think the guy's pretty funny. I
Yeah.
don't hate I don't hate on any of these guys, but at the end of the day, I'm out for their position, and I'm coming for him. And he jumped a little bit ahead of me, and he had a great performance against Jacare. But I feel like now it's my time. It's Hurricane season this year, 2021 3.0, and I'm excited to showcase it.
Yeah, and obviously that's part of that is fighting Gaslam. How do you see it kind of playing out on February 13th?
I feel like I just got to make it a gritty fight. I can't back up. I feel like he's very successful on guys who move around a lot and kind of back up. That's why he did so well against Israel. I got to be one of these guys that meet him head on. Till did a great job with meeting him force to force, a lot of clinch work. I feel like Gastelum's a guy who doesn't want to get super tired. He just wants to brawl, get the knockout. So I'm gonna grind on him, and I'm gonna look for the finish, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. And I feel like I have the capability to put him out either way. So I'm looking for the finish. I'm looking to make a statement. I'm looking for the 50 G's, and looking to have a great night.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Gaslam too. He doesn't get the respect that he deserves just because people are talking about his losses. But if you look at his losses, he's fighting the top guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's a legend. He's fought the who's who's. He's fought for the belt. He's beat some of the legends of the sport, and is someone I've watched very closely my whole career. But when they're your idol and your hero. But now I'm here, so the new is here, and the old is time to move out. And he's still pretty young. He's still got some talent, but at the same time, I'm hungry, man, and I'm coming for him.
Yeah. Now, I know you mentioned before that you're in Mexico, but I saw in on Instagram that you actually got to go to the Florida Keys, I think, for a little like father son fishing trip. What was that like?
Yeah, that was awesome. I came back from Mexico. I got some like 3 or 4 weeks of hard training in. Obviously got over the COVID before all this, and then I had a 10-week fight camp when I found out. So I trained a little bit, and then I said, let's break this up a little bit and go on a little father son fishing trip with some old wrestling buddies that grew up wrestling with that were in Florida Keys, and they hosted a great time. We had a great trip. I love deep sea fishing, and it was a good time.
What like how much did you catch? Like a lot of fish?
Oh yeah, we caught
Yeah.
probably over 20 fish of all different kinds. When I was in Mexico, I caught like an 85-pound amberjack, but out there we caught a mutton snapper that was probably about 35, 40 pounds, which is really good eating, and just got to take it right to a restaurant. And doing stuff like that's a good release, man. When you're fighting all the time and you can get burnt out, training so hard, it's a good way to get release in nature and just kind of clearing your mind and doing something like that. So I think that's important for any young up and coming fighters to hear that. Push hard, but also make sure you get that reset.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's gotta be good just for like the body too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to heal the body, and that's salt water, man. That's why I be joining you in Florida soon, man. I love the beach, man. There's nothing like it. Going to the beach after a hard week's training and just laying in the sand. That's why I love Thailand. I love Florida. I love places like that. Colorado's my home. I grew up here, but the elevation and the cold don't really agree with my body. And eventually I got to make a move. But right now I'm here. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Hey, have you been to the Keys before, or was that kind of your first time?
That was my first time to the Keys, and it's pretty crazy if you look at a map how the island chain goes down. Like I can't believe hurricanes haven't wiped them out. They go down almost near like Cuba. It's they go way down there. So, um, yeah, it was a great experience, and Florida's cool. Are you enjoying it down there?
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. Yeah, the weather's so
Yeah,
nice. It's so much like a cheaper, like it's just like a cheaper like way of living too. I feel like down here, like so everything is just lower cost. But
yep,
like as far as the Keys too, like I was looking about maybe taking a trip down there too in like a camper because like I was seeing they had some of these campsites like you're like right on the water. Like it looked pretty awesome
yeah, no doubt, no
for
doubt.
sure. But yeah, Ian, anything you want to say before I let you go? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, just tune in UFC 258. I'm not sure where I'm at on the card, but I'm gonna bring the show. I want to steal the whole card, and Gastelum's game. I'm game. We always put on exciting fights, so just expect a new and improved me. I only got to show about a minute and 15 of it my last fight, and I only got to fight one time that year, which really hurts me. I want to be super active this year. I want to make a statement and my name known in the middleweight division, and yeah, big things to come, man, and just shows that you could be rock bottom in a foreign prison cell like I was, about 6 years ago, to climbing to the top of something that if you believe in it, you follow God's will and His power, you can do anything you want in your life. So just focus on that, and especially with these crazy times, we need to unite. And I appreciate the interview, man. Just tune in. That's all I gotta say. No more talking.
Yeah, no, I definitely have a crazy story. I think a lot of people could get behind and be motivated by. Thank you, Ian, for taking the time, and I wish you nothing but the best on February 13th.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't know my story, check it out. It's on the UFC podcast with Megan O'Leary. You can see that on Fight Pass, so check that out. And yeah, thanks again, man. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, I actually listened to that. So for anyone
Oh,
who is
cool.
listening to this, you should check that out. It was very good. But
Yeah,
all right,
came out
Ian, thank you
great.
so much.
All right, thanks, Connor.
All right,
Have a
take
good
care.
one.